right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Progressive Podcast. It is episode 92. All right, the moment before the first
Oh man.
You good, bro?
Yeah, I'm fine. As you can see, I am not doing too well. Although I'm at the tail end though. I'm much better than I was before.
Real. It's quite funny. We're actually just before you guys saw what you guys saw, we had rehearsed this thing, and I just keep getting it wrong sometimes. Most of the time, I think every third episode or every second. But anyways, we're here, we're back, we're still looking for a home. If you know anyone, if you know anything, please do let us know. And do me, bro. How have you been?
Oh yeah, it's been a hectic week, and I'm just trying to
survive.
Just trying to figure out the best way forward, because it's a lot. It's a lot happening right now. Yeah, a lot is happening right now.
Real, that's so real, man. That's so real. Yeah, I guess I could say the same. As well, I think on all fronts, whether it's school or work as well.
Yeah.
You know, but what is exciting though is that if you go in the description or if you go to our website at www.theprogressiveathlete.com, go to the TPA store. We've got some TPA hoodies, some nice merchandise for you guys. So we are gonna say it right here, right now, right? The first 50 people, right, to buy a Progressive Podcast, right, 50, the first 50 people to buy a TPP, a Progressive Podcast hoodie will be featured on the podcast. The first 50. So that means for the next 50 episodes, starting in the next season.
Yeah, starting in the next season.
Yes, we'll be featuring everyone that's part. So first 50, make sure you get a TPP hoodie. Let's get the podcast out there, streaming 44 countries worldwide. Big love to all our brothers and sisters there in Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire. Yes, Didier Drogba.
Yes.
Anyways,
shout out Didier.
Yeah, cool. So the icebreaker for this one, it's quite interesting. You know, it's like icebreaker, but it's our winter this side in Southern Africa, but we got no ice unless you like from like Lesotho.
Yeah.
Shout out Rufilio. But so icebreaker this time is hoodies or sweaters? No. Yeah. Hoodies or sweaters? Which one are you taking? Like,
man, they're both so great.
Yeah.
Like depending on what you're doing, that's a very difficult choice because they both have their
that thing, you know.
Yeah, this one is tough, man. I won't lie. I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know.
I'm gonna go with the hoodie. So rather safe than sorry type thing. Especially like if you're not sure if it's gonna rain. You know, it's always good to...
You can at least like put the hood over it.
Yeah, but the thing is about the sweatshirts, they always have the sickest design. The sweaters always have the sickest designs on the back.
Yeah.
Compared to the hoodie because it's got that hood thing flapping around.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And you can also have a relaxed but also somewhat presentable demeanor. Whereas if you're wearing a hoodie, like you'll mostly just have a relaxed demeanor. Whereas if you're wearing a sweater, you can play both sides somewhat.
Yeah.
Can still be like comfy, but also like look,
Yeah, on that Hannah Montana, best of both worlds, baby.
Oh man, guys.
Man.
It's crazy because we're actually speaking about Hannah Montana yesterday.
Yeah.
And this is now the second episode in this year, I think, that Hannah Montana has been mentioned. So shout out to Hannah Montana.
We are not sponsored. So yeah, this it's just 5. The reason why it's 2 and not like 5. Yeah. Anyways, let's get into the gist of what we are here for today. So the moment or moments before you take your first step, you know, as you know, season 11, it's crazy. It's 11 seasons down the line, right? Road to 100 episodes. And it's this thing, right? And it's basically it's inspired off of the month of April 2020, right? And you could arguably say the last week before we launched the company, right? And there was just so much going on that month. I think that's one of the months in my life that I slept the least. I would go to bed at like 2, 3 in the morning, wake up at like 8, be ready by 10, washed, room is clean, breakfast, everything, and I'm just locking it in. And then, of course, from here and there, I'll take breaks and everything. But what goes on now, you have this business idea, right? Or you have this big announcement that you're going to make. Like, what's kind of going through your mind? Well, anything can go through your mind. But I think Dumi and I today are going to share what went through our minds. All right. I'll speak mostly on the business and the podcast as well. And I think we touched a bit about this in the previous episode 91.
Yeah.
You can go check that out. Right. But what really was the thing that I did not know, and bear in mind, none of us had done anything at this scale.
No.
Or with the planning to take it to where we've taken it to so far.
Or anyone else that we knew at the time, at least.
Yeah, no one that we knew.
Like, or a peer, let's say a peer. Because there's people we knew that, like a peer somewhere around our age level group.
Yeah, we didn't have that, like, point of reference within our circles, whether it's a sports company or a podcast per se. So, I mean, for me, I was genuinely excited. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I launched this business. But really, it was a thing of, you know what? I've been working on this thing tooth and nail, right? Late nights. I won't say blood, but mainly sweat and tears here and there.
Yeah.
It was time to get the baby out the womb,
And
whether it was a normal birth or a cesarean.
C-section,
Yeah, C-section, And and I guess I could say the same thing for the podcast. However, on the podcast though, I learned that people will watch from a distance before they hop on the bus or the train.
Yeah, there's very few people who hopped on from the beginning.
Yeah. So when I started when the Progressive Athlete started, it was mainly my friends, close friends and family, right? And then other people that I'd coached, right?
Oh yeah.
And then, the community grew, the team grew, now we're here. And same with the podcast as well. It was more of like, oh, what are these guys doing? Oh, okay, let's see how they go. Now it's a thing of, I had bumped into one of my classmates actually from first year. She took a break though, but she's finishing it up now.
Oh, all right.
She also has a podcast, right? And you know what? One of the things that really pushed me to kind of start where I am, start where we are with the video was her podcast. It wasn't much, but it was honest work. So I was saying, hey man, you really pushed me to some extent and challenged me, podcaster to podcast, right? And she was like, what do you mean? It is you and your boy Dumi, you guys have been pushing me. I feel like I feel like I'm more challenged by you that compared to you being challenged by me. Right? But I never had that in mind when we started this thing, when I was like, yo, Dumi, dude, let's go do this podcast. 11 seasons, 92 episodes later, and 44 countries later, we're here.
Those are crazy numbers.
Yeah, crazy numbers. And I think our average audience is like, what, 250?
That's a very big number as well.
Across all platforms. So yeah, but I don't know, Dumi, like on your part, if you could just share, like, what were some things that were running through your mind the evening on this? What was running through your mind on the 6th of January 2022? Because we launched on the 7th of January 2022. That's when we launched the podcast. Yeah.
What was running through my mind? I'm not sure. I don't remember particularly. Was I worried about us putting ourselves out there? Maybe just that thing of, I don't know who will listen to us besides like a few friends that just said I'm listening regardless. I'm not sure. It's just because these things, I've always just kind of been up for it, regardless. There was never really like a particular thought of where is this going. It's more of like, I'm willing to try here. because I want to help. Basically, that's basically my mindset. Yeah, even with the Progressive Athlete as the company across the board, is that thing of like, I was here for the ride. And also the reason why is because I remember that when we would do things in high school, it was kind of, I just came to that mindset where, you know what, we could do anything we put our minds to. So every time something new would start, whether it's the Progressive Athlete across the board or the podcast some 2 years later, roughly, or almost 2 years later, it was that thing of like, you know what, I believe that this can go somewhere, so I'm here for the ride, kind of thing. Like, you know what, just that belief that, you know what, we can actually just get out there and do something. And because we've even done it before on many occasions when we were in high school.
Multiple
so that's kind of, there wasn't necessarily fear and uncertainty. And maybe from a Progressive Athlete standpoint, maybe there wasn't fear and uncertainty, but because like the stakes weren't as high for me, because you're the one who's starting the company. I'm here to like help and do as much as I can. But for the most part, at least at the beginning, like you were the founder, CEO, you're the accountant, you're the coach, you're the you're the human resources guy. You are the research and development, like head of research. Like, you are all these things, right? So you're the data analyst. And so maybe because there wasn't that like risk for me, also maybe in my mind I was just thinking, I will just, and obviously it's not that thing of just because there's no risk, it means that if things go bad, I'm just gonna like distance myself. I don't think that's what, it's more of that thing of like, it's, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's and that's just like an honest kind of evaluation from my standpoint. And then in terms of the podcast, honestly, I just thought, this is like a very cool concept, and we've already been doing this for a while. And and as time went on, one thing I realized probably by like season 3 or 4 is just the amount of things we're learning from the research we had to do, depending on the types of topics we're talking about, where we actually had to actually go find out things. And just learning more. And and it's weird. Obviously, this is more hindsight rather than the beginning. But now it's so strange. Almost every time I have a conversation with someone and we veer off into that thing of like they're struggling with something, or I always have something to say that's helpful. Sometimes I won't say, because I've learned that sometimes you just there are moments where you just have to keep quiet. And just allow people to speak, and you just take it in. Sometimes you actually don't say anything, or you don't give that advice. All you say is, you know what? You just keep pushing. You don't actually. It's a nuance of, as you grow, you understand certain things where you might actually know something, but you just keep quiet, or just give something basic and allow the person to learn or something. But from the hindsight perspective, the knowledge pool has just been so big, and that's the overall kind of thought process. And obviously learning, because of social media. Managing social media management and kind of the things that go on the back end. It's also been very good, kind of just to upgrade the skill set. But I'd say across the board, it's more of that thing of I'm here, and I just have that belief that, and even if it's something that we don't know exactly what it is, but I know that like we can make it happen, kind of thing. We can make it happen. That's basically that's basically it.
Man, that's so real, man. It's so real that
you can make it happen. That's like it's not about you knowing that it's gonna be great. It's because you know that you're not the kind of guy who's gonna give up. You have that capability, and that's what draws me in personally. It's not necessarily about how large the scale of the task at hand is. It's just kind of the fact that you just kind of have the wherewithal to go the distance, and that's really the main thing. That's really the main thing. It's not. I'd say I think in those few sentences I've actually summarized what I was trying to say before. It's just more of like you have the wherewithal to go the distance. Like you have it in you, and so it's like whatever you say, we'll analyze the situation, or like, okay, we can do this, start here, and then we go. That's basically
that's true. That's true. And like, and thanks, because like, we really just want to think. For me, it's just how far can this go? Does it have potential? And then now for me, it's always been a thing of trying to figure that out. Yeah, and once you get to that point where you can sort of figure out where you want to go in your life, whether you want to be the best at that point in time, or to be the best to do it, or to be the best to ever do it, or to be the best to ever contribute,
to something. Yeah.
To something is always something that you have to have that conversation with yourself, and you need to extend a lot of grace to yourself, especially when you're starting something new, something you've never done before. You have to extend yourself a lot of grace. I find myself, I'm a very competitive person. That's just the athlete, the sports person in me, right? It even filters into my arts, and, into my craft. But I also say to myself, okay, cool, I've never done this thing before. I don't have the knowledge pool that everyone has. So what can I learn? And Dumi was mentioning a very good point about a knowledge pool. People always ask me like, dude, how do you know that? I just know it because in the pursuit of looking for information for the podcast or in business, you come across ads, you come across suggested YouTube videos, you come across all these other things, and then now you just know, have a basic understanding of STEM things, of tech or whatever. I have people who are studying tech degrees who ask me for help with some of their homework, right? Because they know that I'm clued up on tech like that. So on the journey, man, the whichever journey it is that you go, even if whatever the announcement that you make, but all I really want to say is that document that part, that moment, those days before you make that announcement, you make that jump, you make that decision. Because you look back, and when the going gets tough, it's only going to get tougher for some time, right? But the tough keep going. That bald guy, that bald brother, he said something like, tough time never lasts. only tough people last,
Yeah, it's like sickness, dude. It won't last forever, especially if it's just a cold. When you're going through it. You're going through it, but it won't last. Yeah, it won't last. It won't last. Only tough people last.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to add on that knowledge pool thing. I remembered a conversation I had this past Friday with my colleague. It was after school. We were going to have lunch together, myself and two other colleagues, and we showed up at this kota place, like a canteen kind of place, and
like a food truck.
Yeah, a food truck. Yeah, she was looking at it and she was like, she told me, oh wow, like because obviously we're doing business innovation and entrepreneurship. So I was actually just thinking, oh man, this is how I would like maybe better this brand and stuff like that. And then I remembered that I had a moment back home where I was at the ATM and I was just withdrawing money, and I looked at the interface of the ATM, and over the last maybe 5 years in Mozambique, all the ATMs got the same interface regardless of the bank. Whoever created that interface somehow made a deal so that everyone has the same system.
Talk about money.
And so I remember looking at the system and wondering, I wonder how they coded this on the back, or I wonder how this was made on the back end. And it made me realize, oh wow, like I find myself asking myself questions that I normally wouldn't have asked in the past. And I think that's kind of just the building of that knowledge pool kind of thing, where obviously this was more from school rather than just general research or just coming across things. But across the board, it takes time. And it's also because you're in a specific field, or, you're just looking for things, whether it's podcast or at school or so on and so forth. So it's, I don't know, the knowledge pool thing is very interesting.
No, it is.
It's very interesting.
It really is, man. Like, the more you know, and when they really say knowledge is power, it really is power, because then now you're not able to, how can I say this? Okay, I'll take myself for example, and I'll better explain what I want to say like this. So, I was not someone that knew a lot of things the way that I do now. I always knew I had a great competency for other things.
Yeah.
But now it's just crazier. You know, I was showing one of my colleagues a poster for my stage play. She was like, "How did you do this?" And you know, it was another thing. I sent, you know, someone a link to the website. And, damn, who made this? And I was like, oh, it was me. And they're like, oh, damn, how do you know this? How do you know that? And I always find myself having those conversations with people. And I was literally, in the pursuit of chasing your dreams, you will learn a thing or two or three or four times, whatever.
Yeah.
You know? And that will help you, number one, cut a lot of costs. And number two, just be useful. Because now there are some skills that I've learned that I can now monetize.
Yeah.
That I've become so good at that I can now monetize, or I can go on and consult. You know? So really, before you do anything, document it, right? Have some grace, extend some grace, all right? And know where you want to go. At least to one point. You know, I think those are some top 3 things.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, essentially to sum up what...
one point. Doesn't have to be the end point.
Yeah,
or you can have some sort of end point, but then have like a 1 point that is earlier, like a 1 year point or a 2 year point, something like that. Something that you're working to that will force you to do things in the short term to get to this place. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Dimi, give us the quote of the week.
Yes, let's go.
Let's get that motivation.
Yes, where's all right. So
cool.
The quote of the week is, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave may not live without fear, but they face their fears head on, taking the first step towards their dreams." By our good friend Randy. Yes. Just for this quote, he should be Employee of the Month once again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll say it again. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave may not live without fear, but they face their fears head on, taking the first step towards their dreams. And I think that basically what this is saying is that whenever you're about to start something, more often than not, probably like 99% of the time, there will be fear and doubt. What you need to understand is that there will always be fear and doubt. It's just that there are those that are willing to persist even in the face of
irrespective,
that. Basically, that's basically, there's just those people, and you need to be those people, that because that fear will always be there. You can look at even The Rock, man. I'm sure there's moments where he's feared starting something, but he just has the mindset that he has to do it even with the fear there. Yeah, because you will never do anything if you always succumb to fear. You will never. Yeah, because it's always there.
It's always the enemy, man. Like,
it's always there, guys. It's always there.
Yeah, man. Don't let guabs, stop you from getting to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you hit it on the nail right there, man. All right. Cool. All right. I think we can end it right there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we can end it right there, because we don't want to, waffling is one thing. And that's what we want to avoid, want to keep these things concise for you guys. But yeah, this was a good episode. Nice to the point. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. All right. We're currently at 105 subscribers on YouTube.
I think so. Last time I checked, I think it was 103 maybe. But yeah.
So please do share our podcast. Let's grow the community. And remember, the first 50 people, all right, in May, to buy a Progressive Podcast hoodie, a TPP hoodie, we're going to feature them on the podcast from season 12. All right, so for the next 50 episodes from season 12 onwards, we'll feature someone that buys a TPP hoodie.
I just realized that's about a year's worth of episodes. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
That's actually that's a year's worth of episodes. Wow. Yeah. Guys,
come on. To spice it up, let's make it 52.
52, just all right.
So we can go. But anyways, we'll send out the comms on social media. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Progressive Athlete, TikTok at The Progressive Athlete, and LinkedIn at The Progressive Athlete. All right, cool.
I think actually the YouTube is the only one that says The Progressive Podcast. Yeah, everything else at The Progressive Athlete.
100%. And then, we'll see you guys in the next episode.